Okay, now we are ready to make this opening for this section. If you notice, the original model doesn't have this one closed, they're open section. And to do that, we need to decide what plane to use. Rather than selecting the plane from this area, which by the way, you can expand that little plus sign next to origin and see all the planes are available here on the browser section. But rather than picking any of those planes, we directly pick the face that we want to work on that. In other words, we make this top face, as you see highlighted, as our work plane by left clicking on that. Now, this little shortcut here is very helpful if you use that. So it shows create sketch. Left click on that little pencil shape icon, and then you continue using some of the sketch tools to create one sketch for this area to cut. So I'm going to use a rectangle for this one by selecting the rectangle tool, and I'm going to select 2 points option, and I'm going to select this one any place here in this fashion that you notice I'm making larger than what it is. Because my goal is to cut this. It doesn't have to be exactly the same width. However, this dimension has to be fully defined and to be scaled. So I'm going to add dimension by selecting this line, and this line has to be perfectly 1.25. As you see here, I have already 1.25, and select that. And also I want to make him symmetrical by selecting the origin and picking this vertical line and making sure that this is half of that, half of 1.25, which is 0.625, which in this case, as you notice, runs up to nearest, which is 0.563, which is correct, and I check mark that. Now, this dimension, as I mentioned, is not critical because I'm going to cut. In other words, I'm going to remove that object. So I'm going to add some dimension here, whatever it is that I'm going to accept them, because my goal is to fully define that. It still is telling me there is one dimension needed. So I need to figure out what that dimension would be. Perhaps something in relation to the origin is the one is asking. So I'm going to add one dimension between this and this, and then see if that takes care of that, which does. And now we have, this is fully constrained. And I'm going to say finish sketch, and I'm going to use the same tool we used before, extrude tool, by left clicking on that, and then automatically tries to go again in the same direction upward, which I'm going to switch that because our goal is not to create extrude boss rather than extrude cut. So these are the options available under that section. We can say join, which is right now default, and cut, or we can also select this one here from this menu. I'm going to select cut from this menu, and under the distance section, I'm going to select all. This is a good design intent not to use any thickness, because what happens if you change the thickness later? It still would go through all. So you want to select all rather than giving 0.5 or any other distances. So we can select this one from here. Again, you have that choice, select from the same menu here. I'm going to select all and say OK. As you notice, this is opened precisely on that location and dimension that is given in the handout. So we will continue completing this model on our next video.